Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Mike Kollin at MikeKollin.com. Okay, so first thing I want to say is you are not crazy. Something tells me there's a lot of you out there that need to hear that right now. I'm just being funny, but this video is actually about something that narcissists do that will make you crazy, makes you kind of go nuts. So this is something that has to do with cognitive dissonance. So with narcissists, there seems to be a lot of that going on, cognitive dissonance. On the one hand, they like something, but then later on, they don't. Now this is something that narcissists do to us, all of us, and not only does it make us crazy, it's confusing. It's like, wait, what? And you kind of think and look at them like, are they nuts? So let me give you a kind of a preview or pre-lesson. So the difference between someone who has, how do I say this? Okay, in NLP we call it parts. So parts are parts that break off from us when we get fractured. But parts can be recovered because they still have a connection to the core you. Okay, so that's when we do what we call parts integration. And in energy healing, when we do energy healing, they essentially, the crystallization breaks down and they come back into the whole. Okay? Now, one thing I learned in psychology class is there's a difference between, okay, so here's what parts are. Like you say, well, a part of me wants to do this, but another part of me wants to do that. Those are two little pieces of you, of your energy that broke off from the core a long time ago. And they have different beliefs, different values, and different rules. And so this is what we call parts conflict, because in general, they will conflict with each other. So I want to go right, but it wants to go left, and vice versa. But in psychology, when you have a split personality disorder, or let me say it like this. A split personality disorder is essentially parts, okay? So they still have a connection to the core you. So they can be healed and integrated and come back into you. So when someone has a split personality disorder, it's kind of like these parts have gone further, okay? They're like further apart and they come across like, wow, this is a different person. So I may not be using this term right, but if I remember correctly, schizophrenia is essentially when these parts have completely separated and disconnected from the whole. So when you're dealing with a narcissist, essentially they either have really kind of separated parts or they've completely broken off. And this is why narcissists tend to make a lot of mistakes. Like how narcissists will totally screw with someone and do a certain technique on them, and then they do it to these other people who are close, and then they figure it out and they're like, yo, what's going on? Like, oh shit. Like they forget. Okay, when you go into another part, especially if it's a severe, like a personality disorder part, like to where you're like, holy shit, you got split personalities, you're in a different person. So this part doesn't know anything that the other part did. So they tend to get caught a lot. They get caught up a lot. And here's the really weird thing. Have you ever had a conversation where one day they said one thing and then the next day they said the complete opposite, or maybe a week later you're like, wait a minute, I thought you said blah, blah, blah. No, I never said that. And you're looking like, wow, they look congruent. It's because they're in another part. Okay. And another thing is narcissists lie so much. And this can create a part. They tend to be like, no, I didn't say anything. And it's almost like, have you ever heard when they say like people, if they lie enough, if they keep saying the same lie enough, eventually they'll actually believe it. But then literally there's the core you or a part of you that goes, no, I remember saying this, 5 weeks ago or whatever. But they like, no, I never said that. And so they start to lie to themselves. And then if you show it on a recording, like, well, look, you said it right here. Oh, well, and then they'll say, oh, well, I didn't really mean it when I said that. What I really meant was, and then they say something else. And that's the crazy making. Makes you crazy. And this is why you should, number one, leave. Get away from them. So this is why people get upset when their beliefs are challenged. Cognitive dissonance. A mental conflict occurs when beliefs are contradicted by new information. This conflict activates areas of the brain involved in personal identity and emotional response to threats. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Okay, we've got to wait for it to go up a little bit, so hold on a second. So the brain alarm goes off when a person feels threatened on a deeply personal and emotional level, causing them to shut down and disregard any rational evidence that contradicts what they previously regarded as truth. Alright, there, I got it. So a mental conflict occurs when beliefs are contradicted by new information. This conflict activates areas of the brain involved in personal identity and emotional response to threats. The brain's alarms go off when a person feels threatened on a deeply personal and emotional level, causing them to shut down and disregard any rational evidence that contradicts what they previously regarded as truth. So essentially it kind of causes them to go into, to go into a panic attack, in other words, into their lower reptilian brain, into fight or flight. Alright, so now let's go to the top of this. This is why people get upset when their beliefs are challenged. It's called cognitive dissonance. So, okay, let's take me and my Cracked Female Code course. A lot of men, not a lot, I would say more than 50%, which is kind of a lot. When they take the course, if they don't read my book, Cracked Female Code, they will have a nervous breakdown. They will, I don't know if I should say a nervous breakdown, but they will break down. They'll break down crying. They'll be like, what? Because here's why. Because their beliefs were like, okay, this is the way you pick up on a woman. This is the way you talk to a woman. This is the way you make a woman happy. You buy her things and you do this. And I come along and say, no, actually, that's the way you make a man happy. That's the way you're wired. You have to do it the way that she's wired. So now I teach them all this right brain stuff, which is very foreign to the male brain. He's going, no, that doesn't make sense. No, and they look. I've had men cuss at me. I've had men say, "Oh, you're crazy. You're weird. Like you don't even know what you're talking about. You're making this. You're making this up. I've heard everything." It's the equivalent of when a man says that a woman's crazy. Oh, she's just crazy. She doesn't make any sense. They do the same thing to me when I'm breaking down this right brain processing in the way that you attract a woman. This internal awareness, emotionally grounded, speaking the internal language for emotional fulfillment, etc., etc. They're like, that doesn't make any sense. That's weird. Like why would she like that? So then we go out in public, and I say, hey, pick any woman you want. And I'll walk up, I'll start talking to her about this stuff. She's like, yeah, oh, yeah. She's like, I don't understand. Like why do you teach this to men? I'm like, because men don't understand this. They're like, why? That's how different men and women are, by the way. We are radically different. We don't speak the same language. We do not receive love or express love in the same way. We are radically different. And there's a reason why we don't get along, but you can learn how. So essentially what happens is I go out in public. We go to restaurants, dinner, cafes, bookstores, and boom, women just respond left and right. And I'm doing all this right brain stuff, and my clients are like, it's like their brain. It's like they stepped into a movie or they stepped into the Matrix and like, wait, what the hell's going on here? Like I don't understand. So let's go to the bottom here where it says the brain's alarms go off when a person feels threatened on a deeply personal and emotional level, causing them to shut down or disregard any rational evidence that contradicts what they previously regarded as truth. So here I am doing all this strange, weird stuff to that the male brain thinks is weird, but women are like, this is totally normal. This is what we do every single day. And they're like, that doesn't make any sense, but it's working. And all of a sudden their brain has cognitive dissonance, and then they start to break down. They will start to cry. They will be it's almost like it puts them in a state of shock. It is a state of shock. So here's the other thing. So everything that women have yelled at them, screamed at them, and said, no, blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden they're having all these memories and these downloads like, oh my God, my mom used to say that. My girlfriend, my sister, my second girlfriend, my ex-wife. Oh my God, now I understand what they're saying. So their brain has a completely radically different shift. Now, here's what happens with a narcissist. The first time I saw this, now, I was a psychology student. I was studying NLP and hypnosis. So NLP and meditation gave me the awareness to pick up on stuff, but I didn't know what narcissists were. I didn't really understand the definition. I hadn't studied it way back then. In fact, it wasn't spoken about very much back then. Nobody, even psychologists, they didn't really understand it. But I started picking up things that I now realize, because I started protecting myself, going, you know what, next time someone does that, I'm out. So I started picking up on stuff eventually in my 20s. And that was the beginning of my education of narcissist abuse. So many years later, I look back like, oh, well, that's narcissist abuse. That's a narcissistic tactic. Now, here's what it is. So I was sitting we were sitting at the dining table, the kitchen, dinner table, whatever you call it. And my mom was there, I was there, and I think my sister was there, and I think a neighbor was there. Now, I remembered I had kind of figured this out after a conversation we had a week or two before that, and I was like, wait a minute. So the back of my head was mulling this through, and for some reason, I don't remember who, it might have been the neighbor or my sister, but someone had said to her, like, so why did you marry, your ex-husband? Oh, wait a minute. It was me, I remember. Because I remember I started teaching dating relationship coaching way back. I was young. I was like 22 years old when I started applying this stuff. And it was an NLP modeling thing. I was trying to ask her, like, what are your values? What are your beliefs? That's part of the NLP training you go through. And my mom, she lit up. This was the only time in my life I've ever seen my mom get happy about my dad. So she goes, well, your dad, oh my God, in high school, he was the man. He was the guy. Everybody loved your father. Your dad, the minute he'd walk in the room would light up. People would want to talk to him. He got so much attention, and I just had to have your dad. And your dad was really good at sports. He was the best athlete, blah, blah, blah. Captain of the baseball team, football team, etc. He was so good. You have no idea, blah, 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 blah. So I do not remember what changed. It was probably me. I probably asked the question. So after she was saying all that stuff, the conversation shifted, and somehow, I probably asked her, so why did you divorce him? Now this blew my mind. Now she went back to her ugliness, and she's like, oh, your dad got all the attention. Everywhere he went, everybody wanted to talk to your dad. Your dad this and your dad that. Oh, God, when he played sports, Michael, all the focus was on him. Blah, 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 and I couldn't stand it. Everybody loved your father. Your dad, blah, blah, and I'm kind of looking at her. And here's the deal. My sister and the other person, I think it was a neighbor, it might have been my brother, but our jaws just dropped. And I remember I said to her, I go, so for the same reason you married him was exactly the same exact reasons you divorced him. Now her brain sorry. Houston, we have a problem. So her brain, I'm telling you, if you were there, her face contorted. It was like, sorry, it was like one side of her face went up and the other went down. It was literally like it got twisted. And let me tell you, the people that were in the room, they kind of was like, they were in shock. They were like, wait, what? Now here's the deal. I bet this was the first time in my mom's life that reality was brought so close together, literally within minutes of each other. Now here's the deal. Narcissists do this to you all the time. So it's the oddest thing in the world. When they first meet you, they love you because of your hair. They love you because of your body type. They love you because of your eyes. They love you because of your career. They love you because you're really good at something. They love you because you're so passionate about working out or sports or health or who knows what it is, or because of your values. And then about, I don't know, after the love bombing phase, maybe 2, 3, 4 months, something like that, next thing you know, they can't stand it and they're mad at you. Oh my God, I can't believe you think that. I can't believe you believe that. Like, well, what are you talking about? Now, what this does to your brain, it causes a form of, I don't know if I should use the word cognitive dissonance, but it is. It causes a conflict. Because, see, here's the problem though. Most of you didn't catch it. You probably did on kind of a semi-conscious level, but you weren't really certain because it was months ago, could have been 6 months ago, where they were saying, oh, I love you for all these qualities, and now they're attacking these qualities. And being the good empath that you are, you didn't want to speak up for yourself. You didn't want to hurt their feelings while they're ripping your soul out. And you didn't really point it out. So therefore, they're not conscious of it. And you're not really certain. Like, wait, because you get this doubt in your mind because they're so congruent and so confident that it puts a lot of doubt in your mind, even if you did remember. You're like, and you may even say, but I thought you said this is one of the things you loved about being with me. And like, no, I never said that. And you'll just let it go. So this causes a sense of cognitive dissonance in you. And then a week later, 5 days later, they don't like your arts and pottery. They don't like the fact that you have so many plants. Whereas the first time they came over, like, God, I love that you have all these plants in your home, but it's just so nice. It makes you feel so earthy or, whatever. And now they're saying, why do you have so many damn plants? I can't stand it. And you're just looking at them going, wait, what? So let's cut this video short. I could give you a ton of examples. It could be your values. It could be the fact, like, they could literally say, why are you so kind to people? Like, why are you so like forgiving? Like, that's just and they'll say something negative. So it could be about anything. So here's the deal. If you are with someone who on the one hand loves these qualities about or say the first 2, 3, 4, 5 months they say, oh, I love this, I love that, oh, this is the reason why I love being with you, this is why I'm with you, and then 6 months later, a year later, or whatever it is, and they're saying, I can't stand this about you, I'm going to tell you right now, my opinion, I would get away from them. Now, we all have parts conflicts, so a part of them may have really liked this, and this is for a normal average person. Now, I'm not talking about narcissists. See, with a narcissist, they'll hurt you, and it will hurt. They'll make you feel bad about it. And to be honest with you, I think on some level, it's very possible this is a tactic that they're purposely doing, and it's a game. Whereas with other people, there's a slight difference. We all have had some form of trauma. Birth was traumatic. Being in the womb, that was traumatic, okay? Because you hear yelling and screaming and this and that. So we get traumatized. We have scary things, and we tend to have parts that will separate. But that doesn't mean they're completely broken off or fractionated. So this is when you say, part of me wants vanilla ice cream, but another part of me wants raspberry sherbet ice cream. So that's no okay, especially when you say that, because a lot. Okay, by the way, I bet that's the first time, or when I said earlier, that you guys have ever heard that. Like, man, I actually do that sometimes. So we all do. Okay, we all have parts. And I remember the first time in NLP, they're like, well, have you ever heard someone say, part of me wants to do this, but another part of me wants to go. So part of me wants to go to this restaurant, but another part of me wants to go to that restaurant. This is actually normal. This isn't some bad thing, horrendous thing. So with a normal person, a normal partner, we'll call them normal friend, if you point it out to them, they're like, holy shit, I did just do that. And not only that, but they usually do it together at the same time. Whereas a narcissist will say something, and then like a day or 2 days later, will say, or maybe a week later, the complete opposite. Like, there's no connection. It's like two different people in two different moments. With the average person, they won't flip out. They won't argue. They won't be like, no, that's not what I meant, rah. And they won't get so defensive, okay? So if you're with someone who's constantly pulling this on you, and especially if, like, when you call them on it and they get really angry, I would exit stage left. I would really strongly think about getting out of that relationship, because it's not very healthy. Now, another sign is that if they're a narcissist is they'll blame shift. They'll say, "Oh, you're twisting things. You're making things." It's like, no, it's not. It's not that big of a deal. It's like, you did say this, and now you're saying the opposite. So, like, which is it, or what's going on? It's like, well, they need to do something called parts integration. Now, if it's a narcissist, it's probably a complete separation. Now, with my mom, this was a very interesting thing. It was like, because I introduced both parts at the same time within minutes of each other, they were both present in the room, in her consciousness in that moment. So they both heard each other, and when I pointed that out, they should, it was just like she didn't know what to say. Now, don't get me wrong, in the moment she really couldn't say anything because we were all there just looking at her like, yeah, we just heard this like plain and clear as day. So that became one of the things I started paying attention to when I was dealing with people was, would they completely flip-flop on stuff, especially when it was about me. See, because before that, I would always feel bad, like, oh, they don't like this about me, they don't like that. Now, after it was literally that was a life-changing experience for me. Now, when people pulled this stuff on me, I would look at them and be like, yeah, like something's not matching up here. And I would say most of the time, I would literally look at them like kind of with this dead stare, like I'm looking at you, because it had nothing to do with me. Because I realized like this has nothing to do with me. And I'm like, you're kind of not matching up there. Like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, 5 hours or an hour ago or 2 days ago, you said the complete opposite, blah, blah, blah. And they would be like, huh? And, next thing you know, they're the ones stuttering. Now they're on the defense. Now, if you're dealing with a real narcissist, they may end up flipping out and doing the blame shifting. Oh no, they'll somehow shift it onto you, like they're going to say you twisting their words, or who knows what, and they're going to get angry. So you can do that. Now I'm confident enough to do that because I don't really give a shit. If someone starts bullshitting, like, yeah, whatever, man. Like I'm just like, I'm done. And generally after that, especially if they start getting pissed off and not taking accountability or responsibility, just like going into denial, it's like, I'm done with them. The other thing you can do is you can merely just kind of keep quiet, bite your tongue, be like, oh, I see what I'm dealing with, and just walk away. It'll make your life a lot more smooth. So, when a narcissist has such a division in their own mind, when you get caught up in it, it's called being entangled in it, like they're accusing you, blaming you, punishing you for the same thing they'd love you for. It can cause a cognitive dissonance in your mind, especially if you don't really clarify and speak your truth and be like, no, you said this 6 weeks ago, or you used to love me for that. So if you don't make it clear in your own mind by doing that, it can cause cognitive dissonance in your own mind. You kind of get screwed up. Alright, that's it, guys. God bless you guys. I hope you liked this video. If you did like this video, please go ahead and click subscribe, click the like button, and go ahead and make a comment. And if you want, you can go ahead and make a donation. There's a PayPal link right there in the description box below the video. God bless you guys. I will see you in the next video. Bye.